Live from Splinter Studios, it is the RTHPodcast. That's where most of this investment has gone into, just that one sound effect. Right, hello everyone, welcome to the podcast. Today I am here with Lewis.
Hi guys.
Who you probably remember from our previous Resident Evil podcast thing.
Yep.
And yet again we're doing a Resident Evil podcast. Who would have guessed? But this time round we're doing it's more of a personal review. I know typically reviews fall under the Rayn thing, but this is a bit more straightforward. We just thought, since we both already played it, we'll both review it together. There probably will be a separate Rayn one, but not now. You anything to add, Lewis? Or
now let's just get into it.
Sweet. So I think we got a lot wrong in our predictions.
We got a lot wrong, although we've got quite a bit right. If I've revisited the video recently, and
I wish I did.
We've got we've got quite a bit right, but we've got a lot more wrong. Although that's a good thing. I mean,
it'd be boring if we be exactly what we said, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and it did come across, to be honest, like me specifically wasn't looking forward to. Like, it sounds like some of the stuff I was anticipating would have been kind of disappointing.
You expected like that village girl and her dad to be a crucial part for the thing, but
yeah.
she dies like 5 minutes into it.
Yeah. I guess we just start at the beginning.
I must admit, the story overall is crap, but Resident Evil's not exactly known for his story.
It's a Resident Evil game, Ryan.
I know. Well, I don't know, even by Resident Evil standards, it's kind of a bit
derivative of Resident Evil 4.
It's not even just that, it's like some of the stuff is weirdly don't make sense. Like, I want to point out this entire thing is spoiler.
Spoiler alert.
Huge spoilers. If you're kind of interested in playing the game, bugger off, essentially.
Fuck off.
Nay, watch your language, mister. But yeah, essentially, this is an entire spoiler fest. But yeah, it starts off with Ethan and Mia looking after the child at home. And Mia's acting strange. Like, she's trying to ignore what happened in the past and stuff like that. And then Chris Redfield shoots her to death.
Yep.
That is literally what happens at the start.
Yep.
But do you want to just go straight for the spoiler, what Mia is at that point? Or do you want to wait a bit?
I mean, the whole video is going to be a spoiler, isn't it? So we might as well just go right into it.
Yeah. Why doesn't Chris just tell Ethan that it's Mother Miranda?
Yeah. I think that was a bit of a mistake. But if he did, the game would be over a lot quicker, wouldn't it? Like,
yeah, it's obviously because there would be no game.
Yeah, from a narrative perspective, it makes sense. But from a real life perspective, it's
a very
really
weak narrative perspective as well, let's be honest.
Yeah.
I get they were going for the twist there, and I don't think it's a bad twist. I just don't think they executed it that well.
Yeah, it's hard to say that it was a bad choice because Chris himself even references it at the end of the game. He's regretting not telling Ethan, isn't he, at the end? So they sort of saved it with that, really. But they still did it. No matter how much you polish a turd, it's still a turd, isn't it?
It's like when they're trying to be ironic with certain video games, like, oh no, another sewer level. Here's a sewer level. Just do the sewer level.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing, ain't it?
Yeah.
But whatever, it gets over that pretty quickly. It's just set up for a game. Yeah.
So you put Rosemary to bed.
And then
Mia's acting a bit weird. Then she gets shot to death.
You get captured.
Apparently.
Yeah. Then you get captured by Chris. You crash in the middle of nowhere and you end up in the village.
Yeah. Well, you wake up in a field and then there's like a 5-minute walk until you
black.
Yeah. That pisses me off, that does.
I'm going to say this now. I don't know if anyone else has had this problem, but the game is dark visually. Like, I struggle to see stuff and I can't tell whether it's my TV or it's the game itself, because when I record stuff, I got a monitor on the floor because I ain't got a desktop or anything, and it looks fine there. I can see what's going on there, but on my TV, my 4K TV, it's very hard to see stuff.
Yeah, I've heard quite a lot of people have a problem with the actual brightness of the game. Unless you're playing and it's dark outside, you'll be fine, or unless you've got like blackout curtains or something. But it doesn't help that the brightness slider is non-existent. You got to pick a minimum and a maximum brightness. You can't there's no simple way of setting the brightness in the game.
Because you played on PC, didn't you?
Yeah.
Whereas I played the PS5 version.
You probably can't alter it on console, can you?
You can alter it, but you got HDR. I think that's what it's called. I don't know if you got that on PC.
I haven't messed around with the settings that much, to be honest.
We got HDR, which is supposed to be better colouring and stuff like that. And I can't tell this because of that. Because I know my old TV probably wouldn't have had the problem with that. But the only reason I got a new TV because that one's broke on me.
Yeah.
But it's what it is. Because I played some games, I never had lighting problems before. Normally they're fine, but I remember Ghost of Tsushima. That I had trouble seeing in the dark areas and that. But that's fine compared to something like Resident Evil, where it's mostly dark areas.
Yeah.
So I don't remember 7 having that problem.
Yeah. Although I think 7 is quite well lit compared to Resident Evil 8.
Yeah, I agree with that.
The start of the game, you're in pitch dark. The only thing is moonlight, and there's barely any of that. Until there's a house that you go into, isn't there?
Yeah.
I don't know what the point of that house is.
I think he's trying to set the anticipation up for the Lycans.
Apart from, as soon as you come out the house, it's bright, isn't it? Have you noticed that?
Yeah, just check.
It's weird.
I think you could gradually see it turning to day.
Yeah, you think?
The transition's a lot quicker than real life.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, as soon as you come out that house at the start, it's bright. And you can see, but even so in dark points in the game, it is very hard to see. I know what you mean with that.
Like, I can't pronounce her name, but the giant vampire lady, we'll call her Lady D as we
Lady
previously
D, yeah.
Like, it's hard to see a lot in her castle.
Yeah. I have also heard people complain about the field of view. I personally don't have a problem with the field of view, but I have heard people say like the field of view is too low, and on PC there's mods where you can widen the field of view because you can't do it in the options.
I had no problem with it.
I had no problem with it either.
But I think it might be because they might be treating it more as an action game than a horror game. Because I think if it was an action game, I could probably see the issue there. But because I'm thinking this is a horror game, I don't want to see monsters that are how far away from me. You know what I mean? That's like the big thing. Because Resident Evil 8 is literally if 7 and 4 had a kid.
Oh yeah, definitely. I've seen that comparison everywhere. I mean,
it straight up is like there's rumours there's going to be a Resident Evil 4 remake, but Jesus Christ, 8 borderline feels it. To be honest,
yeah,
I say borderline. It's not a remake, but it hits a lot of similar beats.
I'm going to echo what a lot of YouTubers are saying. How you just said, it's like a baby of 7 and 4, but it doesn't do either genres well enough to be the kid of either of those games.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying that, but I mean, it's true. But let's go through the story and we'll
Once you get to the village, you walk about and it looks completely abandoned and smashed to bits, don't it? You eventually find some bloke who almost, I don't know how he misses with a shotgun at point blank.
Yeah, that's a bit weird. It's every playthrough I've done of it, and I think I've done about 3 or 4 so far, it just baffles me. Like, who was he hoping to kill with that shotgun if he can't even hit Ethan from that close?
It's even closer than what me and you are right now.
Yeah, and for the record, we're sitting across from each other on a table that's about 1 meter long.
Yeah. So the fact he missed is amazing.
Yeah.
So the guy gives you a pistol and then gets killed literally seconds later.
Yeah.
You get pulled through the floor, and that's where you meet the Lycans, who one of them bites your fingers off.
Yeah.
Joy. Oh, can you imagine that, just losing your fingers? And he's just... You see that throughout the entire game. Like, he's just got 3 fingers, and he's just... Yeah. I just can't stop staring at it for some reason.
Anyway, yeah. You lose your... I think it's your pinky and your index... Not your index. Pinky and your middle finger. Ring finger.
It's your ring and middle. Not middle.
No, because he still has his ring on specifically, doesn't he?
Well, it's the one next to your little finger, essentially. Yeah.
Terminology aside, we might both be stupid. That's a topic for another video. But
probably, if I didn't figure it out last time, I'm sure they will now.
Yeah. Okay, so you lose 2 of your fingers on your left hand. Doesn't matter. Right hand, don't know. Okay, so and then there's the ambush in the village.
That is literally like that one bit in Resident Evil 4, isn't it? At the start.
It is, but
it's even got the bell tower.
Yeah, Well, is it a bell that goes off?
Something like that, yeah.
I don't know about that. But
You played it 3-4 times.
yeah, I don't remember hearing a bell. I thought I just sensed something and then...
No, it was a bell.
Anyway, yeah, there's the ambush at the start. Honestly, it's kind of a ball ache, and it's a bit annoying because you only have to outlive everyone. There's a time limit to...
It doesn't show the time limit, but it's just like, it's in the background sort of thing.
It's not like Resident Evil 4 where you literally have to kill a certain amount before the game progresses.
Is that how that one worked?
Yeah.
I
There was no time limit on Resident Evil 4. You had to kill a certain amount. I think it was about 20 or 30.
Oh.
But this is where the ambush at the start annoyed me because I wasted so much ammunition only to find out. Okay, so in my first playthrough, I thought the game progressed when you died. I thought you had to die for it to trigger the next bit.
I thought that as well.
Because he gets that arrow in the knee, doesn't he? Or you can get pulled out of a building. There's two ways it can go. You get an arrow.
I know a
in the
monster
knee.
can just bite you and then you'll fall over as well.
Yeah, the one I had, a monster bites you and then throws you into the middle of the village where the cutscene plays. But yeah, I wasted so much ammunition by that point, and I was like, oh, I just had to die. But of course, it didn't turn out that way. But
You tested it out on another playthrough, did you?
yeah, it's when you get attacked. It doesn't matter what level your health is. It's when you get attacked. I think it's within about 3 or 4 minutes of the attack sequence starting. Even if you got full health and you get attacked, it can trigger it. Which is why it's so hard to get that achievement for, is it killing 20 before it ends?
I don't know, to be honest. I don't look into achievements. I don't care about them.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so yeah, the attack sequence ends and the old woman shows up, which isn't Mother Miranda, by the way, which is what I theorised in the first video. Although it could be.
What's her?
No, it could be. It's not definitely her. Because she can transform with the Mega Mycete. She can show you whoever you want to see. But it makes no sense for it to actually be her.
Why?
If she gives you the key halfway through the game.
It does, because she
that...
wants you to kill the children.
Oh, you reckon? That's a good...
No, that's literally...
point.
That is literally the plot. That's what she wants you to do.
And now that she does mention it in the final battle with her, like, you killed my false children, but I didn't know that was her goal.
Yeah, I think she wants to test you in particular, see if you're worthy to be with her or something like that.
Maybe I wasn't paying enough attention then. So, yeah.
Because she made them 4 originally because she wants to bring a child back to life, but none of them was successful, and she wanted to get rid of them. Yeah, that's what Ethan basically does. That's why. What's his name? Knock off Nicolas Cage. Dante Cage. Heisenberg. That's it. That's why he wanted to team up with you.
Can I just point out, by the way, it's way too soon in pop culture to be calling a character Heisenberg after Breaking Bad. It's way too soon for that.
It's Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Hasn't that been off the air for like 7 years?
Oh yeah, I think it stopped airing in 2013, but still, in terms of pop culture, it's way too soon. Like, you hear Heisenberg, my mind just goes to Breaking Bad straight away. And
I don't know.
Anyway, that's trivial. In the long run.
I'm gonna. Yeah. But yeah, that's why they wanted you to kill her, because they were false children, essentially.
Fair enough. Yeah. So then you have what's her name? Lucy's house, or Lucia?
I think it's Lucia, something like that.
Louisa, could be.
Luigi.
Yeah, you go to the woman's house, and you get. This is silly. You get introduced to that group of people who do the chanting and whatnot, and then they all get massacred like a minute after they get introduced.
The whole sequence seemed pointless. I think it was trying to create tension, but I must admit, it does fail as a horror game. It has horror elements, but it's not like Resident Evil 7. Like, that was a good horror game, straight up.
Yeah.
Like, I'll say this now, Jack is probably scarier than probably nearly everything in that game, except for one moment, and that's it.
Yeah. Okay, so fast forward to the castle, because aside from that stupid bit with the house...
No, you meet all 4 of them at first. You get captured by Heisenberg.
in the mine, and you got to run away. Which
I think that was just set up to introduce everyone more than anything.
It's a cool set piece, but that's all it is, a set piece. It's not gameplay, it's just running forward. And it's a cool moment. It's very visually pleasing, and I like big set pieces.
It's tense as well. It's pretty tense. It's not a bad set piece at all.
But when you replay it, you start noticing the repetition, and like you notice how you're literally just holding forward and shift to run.
I think basically up to that point, you could pretty much skip most of the game.
Yeah, but so that bit comes about when you try to get into the castle, and Heisenberg stops you, and then brings you down into the mines, and then you get out, and then you actually do go to the castle.
Yeah.
So what are your overall thoughts of the castle?
Right, I like the Duke because we first meet him at the castle.
Yeah.
I like. People are going to hate me for saying this, but I like him more than the Merchant because I don't think the Merchant's bad. I just think, I'm not really into Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, that's understandable. Each to their own.
Not saying it's a bad game, just not my thing. But I feel like the Duke is just, it feels mysterious, but he actually has a reason to be there.
Yeah, and plus he helps with the story, so he has a bit more character than...
Yeah. I know some people don't like that and they prefer the Merchant. You know what? That's fair enough. Totally fair. I get why the Merchant's popular. It just doesn't appeal to me. That's all.
The Duke has a more fleshed out backstory, and he's there for a reason, like I said, with the story. Whereas the Merchant, he's just a meme at this point, isn't he?
Yeah. I think Resident Evil 4 altogether feels like a meme at this point. Maybe not at the time it was released, but I think looking back at it now. But... Yeah, when we get to the castle, I love the castle, but I do say this. I think Lady D accidentally got overhyped. Like, I felt like the character met the expectations, but it was also underwhelming. And I know that's a very useful statement, but it's not her fault, I don't think.
I'm glad you brought that up, because she dies way too soon, and I think it's not Capcom's fault. They put her in the adverts, in the trailers for the game, and people... you know the popularity that she gained since appearing in that first trailer. And she was just a first area boss. She wasn't even like a main... Well, she was a main antagonist, but I mean...
She wasn't the main antagonist.
Yeah.
Like, the time you spend with her is great. She is quite intimidating, but her meme status, I want to say, kind of... What's the word? Underwhelmed. So at the same time...
She's not as intimidating as, say, Mr. X, who serves the same function by following you around.
I think as well... like I said, I don't think it's her fault.
Oh, no, it's not her fault at all. It's, again, what the community has done to her.
Yeah.
With the amount of fan art and...
and we're not having a go at the community either, because that's what you typically do when you're fans.
Yeah, it's... What fans do.
Because she was a main marketing focus for Capcom, like, they didn't know what they had at first with her.
Yeah.
Like, you can tell that from playing the game. They did not expect her to be so popular. Yeah. I think they expected her to be popular, but not to the level that they got.
Yeah. They aren't at fault in any way, except for the fact that they maybe shouldn't have featured her so heavily in the trailers. In our original video, there's a part where we talk about maybe the castle being the only section of the game.
Yeah.
We were wrong about that, but you can't blame us because of the trailers.
Yeah.
Basically just that.
It makes sense why they only showed that, because it's the first area. They don't want to show the entire game off, do they?
Yeah.
But I think, well, I'll say this, I didn't know they had more bosses until I saw the Japanese puppet commercial.
I love that commercial.
I do too. It's brilliant.
So creative. I love it.
I wish they did that in English and put it in the West. I really do.
Yeah. Although, don't you think it's strange that you learned more about the game from a silly joke puppet commercial than you did from the actual trailers of the game?
Because I will say, the other member, Heisenberg appears, but I think because he looks so normal in the grand scheme of everyone else there.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like he would be one of the main bosses.
Yeah.
Like everyone's like I just call him, he's Nicolas Cage Dante, ain't he? That's what he literally looks like and sounds like.
I've heard other people call him Nicolas Cage, and honestly, I don't see the similarities. I do
think
to Dante, and like
I think it's the way he speaks because it's like that proper fast pace Nicolas Cage sort of thing. That's why.
Is that where it comes from?
Yeah.
It's not visually or anything then.
Not really. Well, he's got that. Nicolas Cage had a beard in one of these films, but other than that, he's just a fast pacedness of his speaking, and he's like really over dramatic acting.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
But he looks like a knockoff Dante, which, what do you expect? He's from Capcom, so not too bad.
Yeah.
It's always the commercials. The others do appear in it, but it's like one commercial for a few seconds.
Yeah.
So you don't know if they're just main characters or just random NPCs or what.
Yeah, and plus one of them's a doll, so how many dolls appear in Resident Evil games as puzzle pieces? Or something?
Yeah. It's not even technically the doll, the bosses. It's
yeah.
That's the one they used to show it, weren't it?
Yeah.
And you got that fat slug thing, whatever the hell.
Moreau.
Yeah. You can see why people thought that about her. I think we agreed that Lady D wasn't going to be the main antagonist, sorry. But I expected her to be more.
Oh yeah, I think everyone wanted her to be more than what she was.
I think the only thing in game, like outside of the meme popularity, that really lets her down, is that she turns into a giant monster at the end.
Did you expect anything less?
No, but considering like what Mr. X was as a final boss, he wasn't exactly like a giant monster thing, was he?
Well,
he changes a little bit, but he weren't like a,
Like I said, I have actually finished the RE2 remake recently, and the fight on the elevator, you mean?
Yeah,
Where he's got that weird arm.
Yeah, that's fine, but he weren't like over the top or anything.
Yeah.
I feel like I kind of wish they didn't go full on Bloodborne with her.
I love the design.
I love the design.
It has the same problem for me as mutated Heisenberg does, whereas it's so detailed and so busy that you can't make out certain features of it. It's not as bad as mutated Heisenberg.
Mutated Heisenberg looks like Devastator from Transformers 2.
I haven't seen the animated ones, or do you mean the live action ones?
Live action.
Oh, well, I guess I don't remember that film much. But yeah, what I mean about mutated Heisenberg is, at the end of the game, you unlock models of the characters.
Yeah.
And if you go onto the mutated Heisenberg model, you can see how it has this intricately detailed face and arms and stuff. You don't see any of that in the game, do you?
No, you don't.
I sort of felt that with Lady D's mutated model, but nowhere near as much.
I didn't feel that, to be honest, but I can kind of see why. I mean, you got this. She was at the top, and there was the monster thing. Like,
yeah.
I'm just kind of curious why they went with that design for a vampire sort of thing, other than just like, oh, let's copy Bloodborne. It's got blood in it.
As someone who's played Bloodborne, have you played Bloodborne?
I played a bit of it, yeah.
Well, there are big, weird bosses, but as far as I can remember, there's nothing that looks like mutated Lady D.
I'm not saying she looks like one of the bosses, but I'm just saying she looks like she could be in the game.
Fair enough.
Like, you could see that kind of monster design in that game.
Yeah, she does, however, look like the gaping dragon from Dark Souls 1. Just saying. I don't suppose you played that, have you?
Yeah, I'm trying to... Isn't that just a giant open mouth with teeth?
Yeah, but when his mouth's closed and he's just walking towards you, specifically like when he crawls out the hole at the start.
I can't remember. It's been a while since I played that one.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, he more closely resembles a Dark Souls boss to a Bloodborne boss. But I guess I'm picking hairs at that point.
But yeah, I like the daughters more than her as a boss fight, to be honest.
Do you?
Yeah, I like because it reminds me of Resident Evil 7 sort of bosses. Yeah. That's why, and I like them bosses.
I have a real problem with the daughters.
What's that?
I haven't really talked to you about the game until now because I wanted to keep my opinions a secret. But I'm really not a fan of the daughters because, number one, they're completely invincible until a scripted event in the game in which they turn into complete pushovers.
It's because they can't stand the cold air.
I know, I completely get that, but I'd much I'd find it much better if there was various rooms in the castle that you could do this to them instead of just the one scripted event.
Yeah.
It would have felt like you have a bit more freedom, and it would make the castle feel like it has a bit more exploration to it, because that's another thing. The castle, in particular, is it pretends to have a lot of exploration when it really does not at all. I've noticed this.
It's very linear. Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed this with my multiple playthroughs. I didn't so much on the first try. But when you get into the castle, there is one way to go and one way only. You can't... There are doors and they're locked. There's maybe side rooms with ammo in or whatever. But there's one way to go. You get to the end of that route, you find an item, you put it in the place it needs to go, opens another door to another linear route.
Yeah, but most Resident Evil games are like that.
They're not. Resident Evil 2, I know this because it's fresh in my memory. I literally finished it yesterday. You can find any item in any order. Well, to a degree. Like, say the medallions. I mean, there is an order that you would go in if you were using common sense, but theoretically you could find them in any order apart from the one that you need the detonator to get through the door to. I think that one has to be the last one, but theoretically I think you could find any item, most items in any order.
I think the RE2 remake really hides its linearity. I can't pronounce the word linearity really well compared to the other Resident Evil games.
Okay then, all right, I'll use a different one as an example.
That's not me having a go. I'm just saying.
No,
like,
I know. Have you played the first Resident Evil game or the remake?
I played a little bit, but not enough to know it well enough.
That game had a lot of backtracking, which... Where am I going with it? Okay. It had a lot of backtracking because there are a lot of open rooms as soon as you get to the mansion. Yeah. There's a lot of paths. You can pick... I'm hesitant to say any item because I'm aware that could be held against me. But most items you can find in any order. You'll pick up an item and think, I have no idea what this is for. Maybe I'll find out what it's for later. And then you'll find out what it's for. Whereas with Resi 8, you find an item and you instantly think, oh, this is the solution for this puzzle.
I think that's where the Resident Evil 4 comes in slightly, because for me, that's what when you did have items, that's what it felt like to me.
But Resident Evil 4 didn't try to hide the linearity like Resi 8 does.
No, it doesn't. No, it was open about it.
Yeah, I mean, linearity isn't bad, but why try to be something you're not? Like, Resident Evil 4 doesn't hide the fact that it's a completely linear action game.
I think because they don't want to say it's a straight-up action game, because saying a Resident Evil game straight-up action is kind of poison to the franchise, I think. Yeah. Because as soon as you say, oh, we got an action Resident Evil, oh God, we're having Resident Evil 6 again, aren't we? That's what people are going to think, ain't
we
they?
were right about that, though, how we mentioned in the first video, how the trailers imply a more action feel, and they definitely did.
Yeah. I think that was one thing we definitely got right on there.
Yeah, the explosive barrels really gave it away.
Yeah, I like them. I like the daughters personally.
Yeah, I like the concept of them. Don't get me wrong, but it's just
you don't like the execution.
Yeah, and I was watching a video the other day. Do you mind me talking about a YouTuber?
No, you can't. Go for it, dude.
A channel, I think it was called Under the Mayo or something like that.
I know what you're on about. I've heard the name.
And he has a critique on Resident Evil 8. And he mentions exactly what I was feeling. I watched this video probably after my third playthrough. And I was just agreeing with every point he made, because he was saying you get led into a room where the solution of a puzzle is that you already know where to go to complete the puzzle. Like,
you know what place that was?
Well, the entire castle, really. Like, there's a puzzle where you have to put a bottle of wine on a thing to open a secret door.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't find that bottle of wine yourself. You get led to that bottle of wine by the vampire woman. It's at the end of a long route.
I know what you're on about. This is the first one, ain't it?
Yeah, there's no gratification for, I've spent so long looking for this item and I finally got it. You get pushed in that direction.
I won't lie, it felt like a Zelda dungeon when you fight a mini boss and you get the item to finish the dungeon with. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, but Resident Evil games, if it was going for the more puzzle oriented stuff, shouldn't be like that.
I think they were trying to balance out that puzzle horror with the action.
Yeah,
I think,
definitely, yeah.
Because they're action-based ones. Like, people hate Resident Evil 6, but I think it's still the best-selling one in the franchise.
Is it?
Yeah, it's sold ridiculous, but I think the reason why I don't know if it's considered profitable as much is because they did like 5 campaigns for it.
Yeah, there's quite a few, isn't there?
Yeah. So there's a insane amount of campaigns.
Man, I haven't played that game in so long. I remember really enjoying it.
I think why something like 7 and that are really good is because it feels they did it tight and it was well detailed.
Yeah.
So making 8 big is a bit of a risk, I would say, on that front. But I don't think it's sort of graphically or anything like that. Yeah. But essentially, once you fight Lady D, you find this little item thing, this square thing, jar thing, which you later find out is literally a part of your daughter. Like her head is in that jar.
I don't mean to be too technical, but her head isn't in the jar. You find out through letters later that it's actually a crystal, I think, with... Okay, so her body parts get transformed into some form of matter and then placed into a crystal, and the crystal is in the flask.
It's still her body, though,
I know that didn't matter at all. I just wanted to clarify that. See, I was paying attention.
Yeah, for that one bit.
Yeah, for that one portion. I feel like I've been talking a bit much, so let me ask you, what do you think of the Lady D boss fight? The actual boss fight?
Actual boss fight?
Yeah.
I enjoy this. Weirdly reminds me of a Zelda fight.
Yeah.
You got to aim for the weak spot.
Yeah.
That's your typical Zelda.
Typical Resident Evil too.
And then they fly off, and you're like, they prepare a big attack. Because you got a sniper, or else they'll shoot a load of wasps or whatever the hell it is at you. Yeah. And then if you get the knocker down, she won't shoot it, and she'll be stunned for a little bit, and you can get some shotgun blast on her.
Yeah.
It was probably the biggest fight, like set piece wise, other than Heisenberg one. But it's probably, I don't know, like I think I enjoyed all the fights in there, but it's not my favourite Resident Evil fight. That one goes to Jack with the chainsaw. Like, it's not the most tasteful fight, but you're dueling with chainsaws. You can't exactly top that, can you?
Yeah, it's crazy. I will say about Lady D's fight, I really enjoy it. I enjoy the concept. I enjoy the creature. But, okay, so you know how I've been wanting to do a speedrun of the game?
Yeah, yeah.
I've looked into speedrunners of Resident Evil 8, and I've noticed that they seem to lose a bit of time around the Lady D fight, and that's because it's scripted in a certain way. Have you heard about this?
No, I haven't.
When you go into the fight, you're on a tower, aren't you?
Yeah, yeah.
You start on, like, one side of it, and then you go around, and there's a short indoor bit with 2 archways, isn't there?
Yeah.
Apparently, Lady D doesn't take any damage until she's walked through both of those archways once. That's where speedrunners lose time. They didn't realise that they weren't doing anything against her until the players led her through there. I don't know why.
That's a weird thing, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's something that you feel on multiple playthroughs. By the time I did my second playthrough, I didn't know this fact, and I was shooting at her, and I was thinking, I've almost ran out of bullets. What the hell's going on here? And then I died, and then I tried other stuff like running around the building, which made her break the archways, and then I found I was beating her a lot easier.
Because
I don't know why they do that.
That's a weird thing.
Weird thing to include.
Because that's what I did anyway. Because what I do, whatever direction she was facing, I would run around her and shoot her in the back.
Yeah.
But I think just naturally, because I did that, she knocked down the archways anyway, so I didn't really have that problem.
Fair enough. Yeah, I guess most players would do that naturally, but it's just...
That's a weird thing to script.
It's very, very strange, yeah. I can't even think of a reason why they would do that.
Neither can I.
And I think, as well, at the bit on the stairs, when she comes in and you've got to run up the stairs...
And she's at top blow.
Yeah, apparently she doesn't take damage during that bit either. You have to get to the top of the stairs and then wait for her to break through the roof, and then it's so weird to me. And
that one kind of makes sense, because it's very difficult to shoot her anyway when she's flying around.
I guess it makes a bit more sense.
That one kind of makes sense compared to the first one. Like, that one doesn't make any sense at all.
It's just such a weird thing to include it in a boss fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I do like it overall, but I just thought I'd point that out.
I didn't know that, so there you go. Some informative news there.
Yeah.
We were moving on to... We had to go... You get back to the village, and the village is a little more open now. And you gotta get to that red chimney, haven't you?
Yeah, the red chimney house, which has the other key in to get to House Beneviento.
Yeah. But there's not much to say about that village bit, really.
Not at all.
You just fight lichens, and that's about it.
You learn what's in the flask.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah. I actually have a question for you, Ryan.
Right.
On your Facebook page, you said, in regards to Resident Evil, it had some of the best puzzles in the franchise. Were you talking about House Beneviento?
Of course I was. I love that bit, I did.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree they're the best puzzles in the game, but they're still not really puzzles.
I look at it now, because I'm doing my second playthrough. I think when you first play it...
Oh, yeah.
When you first play it, I think it's great.
Yeah, you have different thoughts during different playthroughs, so yeah.
I think that's what I noticed what I do. I think something totally different over time. So just kind of glad I'm glad we waited on this for a little bit.
That's how opinions work, isn't it? I suppose change over time.
I loved that bit when I first played through. Even like I just played it this morning, the morning of doing this, like just because I was just recording footage, and I still love that bit. To be fair, I still think that's a great bit. But I think it loses something a little bit after the first playthrough, but. That's kind of expected. You know what's happening.
Yeah.
Seriously, if you have any interest in playing this game and you're listening to this for some bizarre reason, do not listen to this bit at all.
It's the best reveal of the game, I think. It's not reveal. It's best.
You need to go into it blind. You do. Because you enter the house and it's full of dolls, as you can probably imagine, considering the main villain's a doll.
Yeah.
You head to the basement. You go to the back and you find the doll with the jar. There's 4 jars, I believe. You interact with her and it's like, lights go off, all that laughing jazz. And she takes all your weapons, and there's this wooden doll, large humanoid-sized doll of Mia, like it's life-sized. And what you got to do, you got to take the body apart and find items and stuff in it to, basically it's like an escape room sort of thing.
Yeah.
You take one arm off and you get a key, and I think there's a bit in the fire or something like that where you take off, and it's like a wind up key.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So you gotta leave the room after you get the wind up key, and you get led down the hall that you entered from, and the door opens that was locked previously. You enter and you get this music box. This music box, I don't know if you know this, was actually in the house that Ethan and Mia lived in.
Yeah, what?
And you gotta set it up. The puzzle up, and what you gotta do is there's cracks in the wheels you gotta set up, and you gotta match the cracks.
I do like House Beneviento, but that bit, that music box, I knew what to do. I knew the solution, but there's so many scratches on it, and going back to the darkness issue, I couldn't line up the scratches to save my life.
I think if it weren't for the darkness, I think that bit would be a bit more enjoyable. That's the only bit I have an issue with.
Yeah.
Once you get that, I think you get another key or something like that. You open this door up, and you wash this. Oh, it's a wedding ring you get from the doll, not a key. You wash the wedding ring,
and it gives you the code to the door.
I got this the wrong way around, haven't I?
Yeah. You want me to talk you through?
Yeah, you do. I've played this morning.
Right. So you go into the room with the Mia doll.
Yeah.
Mir doll has a wedding ring on.
Yep.
Take the wedding ring off.
Yep.
Wash it in the sink.
Yeah.
Oh, no. The room with the sink in it is locked.
That's why I said the key. You need the key.
Because of the key inside the doll to open that door.
I just missed a step.
And then you wash the wedding ring off. Or if you already know the code, you don't have to bother with that step. I found that you don't. It doesn't change. It's
they
the
do
same
that in
code
Resident
every
Evil
time.
7, didn't they? But that was actually part of the puzzle.
Yeah. So you get the code. It's 052911, by the way.
You
I think.
cheat.
And then you open the door. You go down the hall because you've got the wind-up key at this point. You do the music box puzzle.
You go back.
And now the music box opens and gives you scissors.
No, you get clippers.
Clippers, yeah. Then you go back and open the doll's mouth, find a roll of film, another door.
You go further down. It's like next to the lift.
Yeah. You go further down, find a room where you use this film. There's a puzzle about lining
It's not
up.
even a puzzle, that is, I must admit. Yeah. You've got to line it up.
Lining up what it says on the piece of paper.
And it shows you a film of this well. And no, it's not like, is it Ringo or something like that?
Ringo?
The horror film. The Japanese horror film with the girl where you push down the well, something like that.
Oh, Ringu.
That's it. Ringo.
Ringo.
Imagine that, but instead of the girls, one of the Beatles.
Yeah. So yeah, you get this footage played. I don't understand why that footage is played in particular. I mean, at first I thought it was creepy, but then it turns out to be a solution for something that isn't even a puzzle.
What's the solution for?
It's a well in the middle of a room
with
a ladder's going down.
Yeah.
And the person, whoever's got the video camera, walks up to the ladder and then the video ends. But, like, it's a creepy video. The way it's set out is weird. But it looks to me like it's specifically telling you to go down that hole. But once you get into the room, there is nothing else to do other than go down the hole. So what's the point of it, really?
Yeah, I'm starting to question what my interest in the puzzle of this now.
Okay, so anyway, you watch the film, and then the film screen falls down and reveals a secret room behind a bookshelf.
You get some scissors, and you go cut up this bandage in front of it.
There's a really annoying jump scare at that point that gets me every time, even though I know it's coming.
Oh, is it Mia just walking through?
No. There's a doll holding the scissors, isn't there? And you take them off the doll. If you turn around at that point, there's another doll. And I think it falls on the floor or something. Nothing supernatural. But there's like this boom in the background. It gets me every time.
I have no memory of that one. I probably didn't bother turning around.
Fair enough. You don't really have to. You get the scissors to cut the bandages leading into another room. I always forget about this second room.
This second room's for later on. That's why.
Yeah. But you cut the bandages, and because you know now to cut bandages, you know that the scissors can cut the bandages on the doll's chest.
Yeah. You do that and you get a medallion, don't you?
Yeah.
Now what happens is you gotta go to this another hall in the same room you're in, and there's this locked door, ain't there? You put the medallion and you gotta solve these puzzles, and what you gotta do is you gotta figure out what these matching symbols are. There's two sets of symbols. You gotta figure out which ones unlock it. To do that, you gotta go back to the Mia doll. You move her eye to get the one. And you got to take off her arm, and inside the arm is the other one.
Yeah.
I think what I liked about it, I just like how creepy it is, just taking apart the thing.
Without sounding too critical, I think maybe you were a bit too absorbed in the atmosphere.
Yeah, I will say this.
Possibly.
The puzzle are kind of crap thinking about it now, but I think the atmosphere, even after the second playthrough, is still good.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
The entire sequence, the atmosphere is tense, especially once we get to the second bit.
Do you want to talk about that?
Oh, I want to talk about it.
Go for it.
So once you go down the well, you pick up the fuse box keys for the lift. Now you're wondering, why do you need that? Because what happens is the lift goes out. So you got to replace that. That's the whole goal of this.
Well, the power goes out to the entire building, doesn't it?
Not that sequence. Not yet.
Oh, right, yeah.
The light's still on then, but once you get that key, the power goes off and you start hearing a baby. You go back up the hole. You notice, because there was a crib there. The crib smashed.
Yeah.
You go back to the room and you find that the Mia doll I think she kind of exploded or something. I don't know what happened. She's disappeared, and there's like little wooden limbs.
Oh,
there's
is
a trail of blood. Yeah,
There's-
'cause the doll's not there anymore.
I thought it was just taken away. I didn't realise there was limbs of it on the floor.
I can't say because there's limbs in. There's like
There's
dolls.
limbs on the roof. Yeah, it's like a doll maker's factory.
Yeah.
Not factory, you know.
It's a doll maker's room essentially. So I want to say that because there's blood on the floor and it happens to be a bloody arm, wooden arm. So I'm going to say that's why I interpret it as.
Yeah, fair enough.
So you walk down and you see more trails of blood going down this hall, and you eventually find a string of flesh, which you'll later find out is actually an umbilical cord. That's why I assumed it exploded. And then you find probably the scariest moment in the entire game, and I don't mean that in a silly way. This is genuinely a proper horror moment in the game.
Yeah.
A giant ass fetus monster coming after you.
Yeah.
And so it's basically, did you ever play Resident Evil 3 remake?
No, I didn't.
Well, in that, Nemesis was way too scripted for what everyone was expecting.
Yeah,
Now,
I have heard that, yeah.
This monster's scripted, but it's the perfect type of scripting.
Yeah.
Because it does chase it, but it's the right kind of chase. It follows you in the right places and everything for this bit. And it is truly terrifying when you first see it because it is pitch black. This is the only moment in the game where I'm fine with the darkness because it really adds to the thing. Because you don't get a full view of the monster.
Yeah, that's what I love about horror, where you can't exactly make out what it is, but you know it's freaky as hell.
You just, because you got your spotlight on it, so it ain't that good. And you just see a pile of flesh, essentially, and a baby's crying loudly. Yeah. And it's coming at you like, oh dear God, no.
The only thing worse than the sound that baby makes in the Resident Evil series is the regenerators from Resident Evil 4, I think. The breathing. And you just
They're creepy.
But yeah, the crying, and it's been edited to such a point where it's like ear piercing and it's really effective.
And basically, you gotta run away because if you don't, it will eat you whole. Yeah, that's what the death animation is for. I don't know if you ever looked it up or anything.
Yeah, I tried to squeeze past it. Spoiler, because you got to hide in the locker and then it disappears eventually.
You don't have to hide in the locker.
You can hide like under a bed or something. Yeah, I've never actually done that. I've only ever hidden in the locker.
I've never hidden in the locker. I've only done it under the bed.
Anyway, because I was going for the achievement for getting the game done in under 3 hours, I hid in the locker. There's a short moment where the baby walks away before completely disappearing. At that point, I ran out the locker and tried to squeeze past him. No, it didn't work. He just grabbed me and killed me.
Because what happens is you gotta go back to the lift.
Yeah.
So you gotta go for the way where you got the scissors, and then you get to the lift. You open the fuse box and you get this little medallion thing again.
Yeah.
You gotta go back the way you came again.
Yeah.
And you place it into this door, and it opens up, and it's lit. It's the first lit room. I don't think the baby chases you there.
That is the door to the room where you washed off the key at the ring at the start.
No, it's before that.
Oh, is it?
It's not the same room.
Oh, maybe I'm getting mixed up then.
No, you go down. It's like a kitchen. Basically, you go through that room, and you get the fuse, and that's where the lights go off. You walk back up the room, and the baby thing chases you. So you got to either hide in the locker or under the bed, as we said. And then you got to wait for it to go. Because if you don't wait, it will kill you.
I think that bit is scarier than the first time you see the baby, because the way you enter the room is you come through a door and you go down a very slight set of stairs. And when you come up the same way, like, you're very close to the door when he bursts it open and just starts screaming at you. And oh my God, like the first time I played it, it's probably the most scared I've been of a video game in quite a while.
I think for me, the only other moments when Resident Evil 7 when Margaret, is it her name? One of the old lady basically breaks through the window for a proper boss fight. You know what happened with me with that one. Yeah. But yeah, that baby, especially when you're hiding under the bed, because I don't know what it's like for the locker, but you're under the bed and you just see that little bit of flesh just there. Oh man, I think that's one of the good things about that monster is that they don't properly show it.
Yeah, as I say, I've never hid under the bed, so I've only ever seen it through the locker, and because the there's like a window in the top of the locker.
The slits, yeah.
And because the slits are there, you can still only kind of make out what's happening.
Mm.
I mean, you can see all of it if you want, but that's only if you literally kill yourself by running up to it to have a look at it.
Yeah.
And no one's going to do that, are they? Because they're going to be mortified about it.
Well, there's the one moment where you activate the lift because you got to run around a bit before it properly activates.
Yeah.
So it chases you a little bit. You just run into the one room, run around the circle, and you get out.
Yeah.
You press the lift, and the lift takes a few seconds to open. So you're like,
crap,
sort of thing. And you get in, you press the lift door, and it pitch black, then brightens up just a bit, and you get a full-on showing of the monster. Yeah. I think that's fine to show it there because that's it. That's the entire thing for that monster.
Yeah.
That entire, I think that entire sequence was just brilliant.
Yeah,
it was probably it was a good bit of horror right there.
In terms of horror, it's definitely the most effective part of the game. Maybe for the most effective part of the past few games.
Like Jack's scary.
Yeah.
But I think he's a different kind of scary to that monster.
He's human, isn't he? Essentially. So
I think
it's just a human following you around, but this weird supernatural baby thing.
Yeah. Like Jack's not human, but he looks human.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That was just tense, that moment. That was just brilliant. But then you get to what is essentially the doll's boss fight, which I liked it, but I think the reason I liked it is because it was a bit different from what they normally do.
Okay.
Because it's like he's got the sound effects ready at the go. I think the reason I like it is because it doesn't turn into a giant monster. That's essentially it. I mean, it is kind of rubbish, but you got to find the doll 3 times and that's it. And it's the same place every time.
It's true. Is it?
Yeah, it's the same place every time.
I thought it was randomised.
No, same places every time.
I was at least going to give it the fact that it was randomised, but now that you're telling me it's not randomised, I don't know if I can even respect it as a legitimate boss, because it's just a glorified quick time event, isn't it, really?
It kind of really is, yeah.
I've never even died on that part, so I don't know what the death animation looks like.
The dolls attack you, you just warm them off like the bees. That's about it.
I mean, even on the highest difficulty, because I've done a playthrough of that, it's not difficult.
Nah, it's not really. Like I said, you just got to find her 3 times in the exact same spot.
Even if you can't find her, there's bloodstains on the wall leading you to where she is. So, yeah, it's not that hard. But I just like the sequence. It was a good moment, that house. Yeah. Again, now I'm going to have a bit of a moan about this. Oh, moan. From multiple playthroughs, you pick up on these things. Like, as soon as you enter the house, your walk speed slows down. Oh, yeah, I noticed that because I got the upgrade beforehand. Yeah. What? You got it before that point in the game? So I did this second playthrough and I got the right, okay. Also, the entire game up until Hasbian and Vientel, you've spent collecting and upgrading weapons and building yourself into one-man army, and you lose every single weapon you have on you for a good 40, well, maybe half an hour. Yeah, but you don't deal with any enemies other than that baby thing, really. I know, but it gives you all these weapons. You think, oh yeah, I'm going to test out all these cool weapons. You get all these weapons taken off you, and yeah, it's fine from a narrative point of view. But it's just, I mean, I don't know. I think that's what it adds to the baby thing. Imagine the boss fight where the dolls that were trying to kill you were constantly coming after you, and you did have your gun. Would that be better? I don't know. Might have been. It's I think that's the moment they could have given you your guns back. You didn't need it for the doll, the puzzle doll, and the baby bit. You didn't need it at all. I was fine with that. I think it added to it personally. One more thing before we move on from Hasman and Vientel. Did you have a problem with getting into the house? I did. No. I actually got stuck with how to get into the building. Because you got post the photo through the door to get in. No, I didn't find any hints or... There's literally words on the sign next to the letter hole. Is that? What does it say? It says put your precious something in there, something along the lines of that. Well, I didn't look into it or anything. I eventually understood that this is an item I have on me. I might as well try combining them, and it worked eventually. But I don't know. There's just something about that section that
There's literally a sign that says it right next to it.
fair enough.
That's your fault for not looking.
I'm not very observant. That's what I was waiting for.
You wanted that for what? I wanted that for a bit, to be fair.
Yeah, you can have that back now.
We've got a phone with just like all the sound effects written down. And he's pulled that over ages ago and been waiting for that moment.
Okay, so shall we move on from Has Been Invented, or do you have anything to add?
No, I think that's it. I think looking back, the puzzles are kind of crap, but I think when you play it the first time with the added tension, it is a really great sequence in the game.
The way, like you said about the castle, the way Resident Evil 8 hides its linearity, it sort of tricks you into thinking that the puzzles may be a bit better than they actually are.
I think that hit its linearity a lot better than the castle.
Definitely.
Anyway, moving on to what I feel like this is where the game sort of declines for me at this point.
Yeah.
Which is we get to, what the hell's his name?
Moreau.
So
I don't know his first name.
I don't think he has a first name.
I'll have to look into that later.
So basically, you gotta go to this other bit. Now, getting into there is interesting because at first you're blocked off by a giant werewolf, which everyone assumed Chris Redfield turned into.
You can't really blame them because we have the case here and look at the cover.
That is such misleading marketing.
Yeah, I think I don't know.
That's not even like Lady D. That was an accident and Capcom taking advantage.
Yeah.
This is blatant. Like they have Chris Redfield and half his face is werewolf. You would assume he turns into a werewolf.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that people thought that specific werewolf was Chris, but I had heard that people thought he did turn into wolf at some point.
I thought he was the giant monster thing, like the werewolf at the start with the hammer and everything.
Yeah,
that would have made sense to me, but because he was just so random and it attacked so hard, and I thought he couldn't kill it at first. I thought that could also have been Chris.
Yeah, it would make sense that
you can kill it all the way.
Yeah, it gets increasingly easier to kill it as you complete more and more playthroughs because obviously you have infinite weapons and magnums and stuff. So.
Yeah, I didn't know you could kill it. I killed it with the magnum when I first got the magnum.
Well, actually, you can't kill it because it doesn't die. The same cutscene plays at the end whether you kill it or not.
Not the giant guy. I just mean the normal werewolf when you counter to Monroe.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
I thought you meant the one in the opening fight.
No, not that one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. So, take back what I said because I thought you were referring to Urias with the hammer at the start.
Yeah.
I actually killed that one quite easily.
I didn't know you could kill him, so...
Did you run away from it then?
I went away from it, yeah.
I thought it was faster than you when you were running.
I just hid.
Oh, fair enough. Does it go away eventually then or something?
He just buggers off wandering.
Oh, fair enough.
So, you find a lot of green snot everywhere, essentially.
Yeah.
This is Monroe's power. He can make green snot appear everywhere. I don't know how to describe it.
He vomits acid, but he also only vomits acid when he's attacking you. Other than that, he vomits a weird boil that blocks you away and you have to go a different way.
I don't know if you can do this any other way, but you have to explode it, and I used the grenade launcher because I just found the grenade launcher.
I just shot it with my pistol.
I didn't. I thought you might have been able to.
I think you can even knife it, to be honest.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And you gotta go through this is it a windmill?
It's a windmill leading to a reservoir.
That's it. And you find now this is a really stupid story moment.
Go on.
You find Monroe watching the telly, and this jar is just far away from him, and you just grab it, and you're like, "Oh, I'll go." And this Ethan, with the infinite knowledge he has of everything that he does, he's just like, "Hey, fuckhead, I got your jar." And you're like, "Oh no, I best block you off then."
Yeah. That's not the only stupid thing that Ethan does, but we'll save that discussion for a bit later. But yeah, I know what you mean. He's a bit stupid how he sort of...
Considering how... He's pretty smart in 7, so that was quite shocking.
Mm.
But then you get to the sequence. I'm a bit mixed on. You got these you got to go out to this water area, this sea bit with sound. flooded by a river thing.
Yeah.
Sea. It's a river. It's a river.
Well, it's a reservoir. Like I said
Okay,
earlier.
reservoir. River reservoirs. It's got water in it.
Yeah, it's got water in it.
And you basically got Munro combines with this giant fish, essentially.
No, Morrow is the giant fish. All along he is.
Was he?
He transforms into it. He's not combined with it.
No, because there was the fish, and then Munro's appears. Then he joins the fish.
No. Morrow is the fish.
See?
Yeah,
thought
he always is.
I thought he gets eaten by the fish and he takes it over.
No, did you skip that cutscene or something?
No, I must have done.
Okay, so the first time you see the fish, I think it's when you're in the boat, isn't it? And you're going, and he sort of comes up. He's Morrow at that point, but Morrow can change from the fish back to his human. Well, he can't change willingly, which is why he's in so much pain all the time, and why he falls into the water later on and automatically changes into him.
Oh,
that's why Mother Miranda looks down on him so much, because he can't control his powers.
Oh, that makes more sense now. Yeah. I thought he just gets eaten by the fish.
No, no. The fish is him.
Okay.
I understand where you're coming from now. That's not an unreasonable thing to think, because I thought that maybe Monroe was controlling the fish with telepathy or something. I didn't know in my first playthrough he was actually the fish until quite a bit later on after he's introduced.
Mm.
But there is literally a cutscene where he falls into the water and the fish appears.
Yeah, he jumps out, the fish, doesn't he?
Is that why you think he got eaten by the fish?
Yeah, that's why
that makes sense. That makes sense, yeah.
So I assume he falls in the water and he jumps out, so I assumed he got eaten by it. Because it wasn't a subtle, it was a very quick transformation.
Yeah.
So that's what I assumed happened.
So yeah, what do you think of the whole Del Lago section from Resident Evil 4?
No, I can't call it that, because you just fight him with hooks in a boat.
Yeah.
Whereas in this, there's you gotta walk across timed platforms and everything, don't you?
Yeah. What do you reckon of that whole bit then?
I don't like it, but I do like it. Like, I don't think it's bad, but I think because I was just playing it dead straight, my mind was just turning to jelly at that point.
Yeah.
But I think that bit is a bit funny. I like the boss fight though. I don't know why. I just liked it.
Yeah.
What you gotta do is you gotta activate 2 windmills to get rid of the water in the reservoir.
Yeah.
But to get to the second windmill, you got what? No, you activate one of them, I think, but the one broke.
Yeah, it breaks when you activate it, and then you have to go to the other one.
But that's on the other side. That's why you gotta travel across this these metal grates and everything, and it's timed. So if you fall into the water, you get killed.
Oh, you mean the ones that come up and down?
Yeah. You gotta activate them in the time thing. But once you get past that, you go into the boss. No, you can encounter Chris.
Yeah, you do encounter Chris at that bit, but it's before the con platforms.
Yeah, it's before that. Sorry, but great at storytelling.
Honestly, I mean, it'll get better with experience, but it's way better than last time.
Oh yeah, because we get to Chris, we find Chris, and we think he gets killed by the fish. Yeah, it's Chris. He punched the boulder in a volcano. He ain't dying by a giant fish.
Yeah,
let's be honest. So we get past that. We do the platform sequence. We get the water down. Then we fight him. It feels like just any other.
Can I just stop you there a sec?
Yeah.
Just before you fight him, there is the most insulting puzzle in any Resident Evil game ever made, except for the piano puzzle in the castle at the start.
Oh, I found that easy.
Yeah, it's insulting how easy it is, because, okay, let me go back to the piano puzzle for a bit. It asks you to input the notes.
Yeah.
But it doesn't require you to read sheet music, which is fair enough, because not a lot of gamers can probably read sheet music.
I could.
I can't read sheet music, for example. But not only does it light up the note on the sheet that you pressed, it also doesn't penalise you for pressing the wrong note. It also lets you press as many notes as you want before you hit the right note. And if you hit a wrong note after your first right note, it still doesn't penalise you. So you can literally go up and down the piano pressing buttons until you've pressed the right note. It's insulting.
I never seen that problem simply because I can read sheet music.
Yeah, you probably did it straight away, didn't you?
I did it just like that, just instantly. So obviously I wouldn't know that.
Oh, yeah. The second most insulting puzzle, the morale puzzle, just before you fight him. You know the lights on the board, and there's a piece of paper next to you showing what you got to put onto the board. But to make things more challenging, the piece of paper is slightly rotated, so you can't tell quite what order it is at first.
Yeah. I might as well just give you a switch for that, really.
Yeah. It's so, don't include a puzzle if you don't want it to be puzzling.
Or even just have no consequence or something.
But the morale fight is good. I enjoy the morale fight.
I don't think it's anything special, but I just liked it.
I don't enjoy it, however, when my PC slows down when he ranks you with acid and you get stuck there and die.
Does that happen? Like the frame rate just went?
Yeah, kind of like how the bees swarm you in the castle. My frame rate just dropped.
You should get a PS5 then.
Shut the fuck up, Ryan. But yeah, the acid rain falls down here, and I didn't realise for an embarrassingly long time that you have to run under the rooftop to stop the acid from getting you. So every time I did that attack, I just died.
That sounds like partly your own fault there.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely my own fault. Eventually, I had to get to the point where I could kill him before he even did that attack, which is easy because he's a very easy boss. Apart from on the highest difficulty where he has the biggest health pool of any boss I've ever experienced.
Jesus.
Yeah. I don't suppose you played Village of Shadows, have you?
The Village of Shadows, no, I'm just playing hardcore. I'm a bit funny on difficulty with games. I just like enjoying them. I don't care about if they're super hard. I try and hardcore because I found this is probably the easiest Resident Evil game I've ever played.
Yeah.
Like, it just feels really easy.
Standard is too easy.
Yeah. I got recommended by a YouTuber called the Sphere Hunter, I believe her name is, to try Resident Evil 3 at higher difficulty.
Was that the remake or the original?
Yeah, the remake. And I tried it on hardcore, and I loved it on hardcore personally.
Yeah.
I recommend playing it on that first compared to standard. If I can do it, I think anyone can do it.
Yeah.
But so that's about high as I go. But yeah, I can imagine that'll be very difficult. I think Book of Shadows, is it?
Village of Shadows.
That's Corpse Party I'm thinking of. Village of Shadows. Oh, what was the... Hang on, we got a sound effect.
That's Corpse Party you're thinking of, Ryan.
We're looking for excuses to really use this stuff because we rented out a place for us. This,
hence the
hopefully better audio quality and everything.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So what was you saying? Difficulty.
Village of Shadows is quite a bit like the professional difficulty in Resident Evil 4 or the veteran difficulty from 5, whereas it's specifically... Actually, no, not the professional from Resident Evil 4, and I'll tell you why later. Specifically for a New Game Plus, I do not believe anyone who tells me they can complete Village of Shadows on a new game. Because, one, you don't unlock it until New Game Plus, unless you've got the pre-order bonus, in which case it's available. 2, there's no way you have enough ammo or tools to survive even the first encounter, which...
So I heard it's a bit of a novelty first time round.
Yeah, when I played Village of Shadows, the hardest bit for me was that attack at the start, and then the difficulty drops off quite a bit there.
I found that with hardcore.
Yeah, I haven't actually played hardcore. I've only played standard and Village, but my speedrun will be on hardcore, I think, because standard is too easy.
I think hardcore's just right at the moment. So you got to learn to block properly, but other than that, it's fine. But that's on the player.
Yeah. Where were we at Morrow?
Yeah, we're just biting him. Like, he turns into a giant fish monster and he chases you around. It's kind of like if Miranda's boss fight, but a bit more room. Yeah. And you got explosive barrels next to him, stuff like that.
Yeah.
He can occasionally block you off with his mucus, but if you got explosives and that, you can just blow it up.
Yeah.
It's just fun. I just enjoy it. And
it's fun. It's more of a typical dare I say, Resident Evil boss fight.
Mm.
It's very typical, whereas Lady D, as you said, it's very Dark Souls, Bloodborne-y.
Zelda-esque, I said.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, Zelda-esque. Beneviento isn't even a boss fight, so let's just not include that. It's more like Jack from Resident Evil 7. Have you completed 7?
Yeah, I've beaten 7.
You know when Jack actually turns into a monster?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't even say that, because you just have to... you can shoot at Monroe anywhere, can't you? Where Jack, you have
and
to
Jack doesn't even move, I don't think, does he?
He loses a little bit.
Yeah. But yeah, it's more like a typical Resi boss fight. It's quite enjoyable, though. So...
Yeah.
No major flaws.
No, nothing really. Now we get to what people probably consider the worst part of the game.
I have a bit of a hot take about the factory.
Let's go. Go for it.
It's actually the best part of the game.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Why'd you say that?
It's the most Resident Evil moment of the game.
Mm.
Even House Beneviento, as effective as that is, it's not a Resident Evil section of a game.
Yeah.
Let's face it.
People compared House of whatever the bloody hell it's called to Silent Hill, something like that.
Yeah. The factory, Heisenberg's factory, although it still has a lot of fake exploration in it, like the castle, it hides it a lot better than any other part previously in the game. There's a lot of backtracking, which usually I don't like, but I like it when the rest of the game has been so straightforward.
Mm.
I like taking the time to explore an environment.
I think it's because you're on the 3 different levels as well, and it's 3 different floors of it.
And plus, like, to get a sun piece treasure, you do actually have to go out of your way to go get a key. Well, you need to get the key to progress the story, but this key actually opens 2 doors.
Mm.
The key to, I think it's Heisenberg's room.
I think I know. Yeah.
Now, the key back up to the start level, where you get pushed down at the start, the key to that room is also the key that holds to the room that holds Heisenberg's hammer.
Oh, yeah.
Because you can sell it for quite a bit of money.
Yeah.
And I really like, I mean, it's not exploration, but it's the nearest to it that we've seen in this game so far.
You have to go out your way to get it properly.
Yeah, and
there's other treasures in like the village that you have to do that as well.
Yeah.
Like we don't really talk about the village much, but there is treasures and stuff and upgrades and stuff you can find in there to get more money in that.
Yeah.
And you have to find certain keys and stuff in other areas to get it.
I didn't even unlock the entire map until my second playthrough.
Mm.
Like there's the boat key. I didn't realise you could use that in the free roam sections.
Mm.
But yeah, that's what I wanted to see more of in the areas of the game that progressed the story.
Yeah.
Like the castle could have been so much better.
Mm.
But yeah, the factory, it's just when each area of the game has a section where you turn a corner and you see whatever, like the start of the game, you turn the corner and you see this big castle with a village at the front. And I remember standing there and I took a screenshot of it because I thought it looked so good.
I think it still looks good.
Have you used the photo mode in the...
No.
Oh, well, there's a photo mode. It might just be on PC for all I know.
It probably is on console, but I just can't be arsed.
But yeah, you can take a photo, which there's settings in the photo mode that can get rid of enemies on the screen or get rid of animals, or you can move the camera to where you don't have to be standing exactly where you want to take the picture. You can move the camera, zoom in, zoom out, whatever. And it's a really good photo mode. But I came around this corner at the very start of the game and saw the castle with the village at the foot of it, and I thought, wow, this game looks beautiful. So I took a screenshot of it. And again, I did with House Beneviento. You come around the corner and there's a big waterfall. I don't know if you remember this. And under the waterfall is this mysterious house. And I thought, wow, that looks pretty good. I'm going to take a screenshot of it.
This entire game looks excellent.
Oh, yeah. It does look really good. And the reservoir has that moment as well. And so does the factory.
And when you see all them body things just moving across, like... That was from one of the Resident Evil films.
Was it?
Yeah, apparently.
Wow, what a weird place to pull inspiration from.
They pull a few stuff from the films, I know that. Not in that particular game, but just in general.
I know there's a side note. I know there's a bit in Resident Evil 5. I don't know if it uses a fight from the film or if the film uses a fight from the game.
I think it's the fight.
You know which fight I'm talking about?
Is it Wesker versus
versus Shiva and Chris?
Yeah,
and it's very hand to hand. And
I think that was in the game. Then the film. I'm not too sure, but I think that's what it is.
Yeah. There's more than one of those moments in the factory though. There's a bit where you see the conveyor belts of super soldiers. I think they're called super soldats.
Them guys with the drills for arms, you gotta shoot them in a specific spot.
But there's also a bit where you first come up the elevator and the lift lowers down. The bridge lowers down.
Yeah.
And I don't know, the factory's just in the distance and it looks really cool. I don't know where we were going with that originally.
You just wanted to say it looked cool.
Yeah, it looked cool.
You were trying to talk a positives of the factory, weren't you?
Yeah. I've heard people say you're not the first.
I never said I disliked it. I was just saying people say they dislike.
Oh, yeah, you did. I've heard a lot of people say it's the weakest part of the game, and I can understand why. Because first of all, if you don't use your map, which a lot of people don't, you can get lost. You can get lost, and I did actually learn that the hard way. I got lost quite a few times, but I was happy to get lost. Like, it was such a breath of fresh air from, as I say, the linearity of the rest of the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why I think the factory is one of the best parts of the game.
See, I like it. What do you think of the super soldier enemies? Because I personally like them. They add a lot of tension to it, and they just use the right amount just to get that tension. Because they use like too many of them in one area. Because I think they use 3 at most. Yeah,
that's another reason why I think the factory is one of the best parts of the game. Sorry, I keep moving away from the mic. Because it actually adds enemy variety.
Yeah.
Like the rest of the game, just zombies, lichens, bigger lichens and bigger zombies.
I think I always complain about lack of enemies in like action games. I think that's why I personally didn't like Resident Evil 4 that much. There is enemy variety, but there's not in constant, because there are only sections of them. You're like, there's like the bug guys that are invisible, but you only see them for that one section, and that's the only creatures you get in that one section.
Yeah, but there's still a lot more enemy variety than there is in Resident 8.
Oh yeah, agreed.
I mean,
I think it's just how it's used. Like the gold standard, and people will groan when I say it, is Doom for me when it comes to enemy usage like that.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, to be honest.
Like, I remember I'm going off the rails a bit here, but
fine,
I played Rage 2. Right.
Yeah.
I was hyped for that game.
Rage 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was made by id Software and I think the Just Cause guys.
Yeah, I played the first one.
It's a lot better than the first, but it's still meh. Like, it's got a lot of good ideas, but the thing is, the enemies are so boring. You either get guys with guns or you get a giant monster.
Yeah.
There's no in between. Because like, there's different looking people, but that don't matter when they do the exact same thing.
Yeah, you want enemies with more mechanics to them.
Yeah.
Like in Doom.
Yeah. Even like Doom 2016, like, they ain't nearly as, I want to say, like the chess thing they have in Doom Eternal. They ain't like that, but they call it like the chess pieces, how the different enemies react, you react to them.
Oh, I've never heard that analogy before, but go on.
Developers say it.
Yeah, all right.
It's pretty cool. You should look at it. But you still have priorities with the enemies. Like, they do different things. Like, an imp will do a different thing from, say, a Hell Knight or something like that. Whereas the Lycans and the zombie guys are borderline the same thing. The Lycans are a touch faster. That's about it.
Actually, although I agree when you say, well, I agree with the fact that there's not a lot of variation in the enemies. I do have to disagree with the fact that you say the werewolves and the zombies are too similar. I think they serve a complete opposite function to each other. The werewolves are really agile and they get close. No, they don't get close. Sorry. Let me start again. The enemies to serve two opposite functions to each other. The zombies are slow and they shamble around. The werewolves are fast and they get in your face.
Well, that's kind of it. Like I said, the only difference is that they're kind of faster. That's about it. You still attack them the same way. You still react to them the same way.
The only thing I will point out as well is, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember fighting both zombies and werewolves at the same time in the main game, at least.
No, you don't.
You don't?
You don't. They fight them in separate bits.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't remember.
I think if they mixed them together, it might have been a bit more interesting.
Yeah.
I think that's why I like the super soldiers, because they were somewhat different and you had to handle them differently, especially when they threw more than one as well.
Yeah.
And I remember they each got more armour, and they just got to the point where they just looked like the Shredder from the TMNT reboot, Michael Bay one.
Yeah.
I didn't even fight them two at that point. I just ran away.
The completely armoured ones,
yeah,
they were invincible until you blow them up.
Yeah, I just ran away.
Yeah.
But that bit was a good bit, though. I like when they appeared because it was dead tense. So it was just
look really intimidating, don't they?
I think what the modern Resident Evil games do really well, they don't cutscene the monsters that much. Yeah. They just appear in the game. Like Mr. X when he pulls that helicopter away.
Yeah.
That was just brilliant, that is. And then for the shredder mutant things.
Yeah.
They just walk up to you in the pitch black.
Another positive for those guys, let's call them shredder dudes, like you just said, is I don't think they're in any of the trailers, are they? So they come by a complete surprise to you. Yeah,
that entire sequence is a surprise, really.
Yeah.
So I think that's it. You basically got to get back up because you get pushed. Because when you meet Heisenberg, he tries to persuade you to join him and use your daughter's powers to kill Mother Miranda.
Yeah.
But he pushes it down the factory, and you got to run away from the monster from Frankenstein's army.
I think his name's Stern, isn't it? Or Sturm.
I don't know what he's a playing guy, but you get that joke though, don't you?
Yeah.
Apparently, the Frankenstein army guy tried to have a go at Capcom for copying his design, and you can kind of see it.
There's actually a video comparing enemies from Resident Evil 8 to the bad guys from Frankenstein's army.
Yeah.
And there's more than just that propeller guy. I think the super soldiers are directly used in that, and so are the normal zombies with the visors on.
I just thought they were the guy from Megadeth. The mascot thing.
Yeah. I'm sure he has a name, but I can't think of it.
I want to say Vid Rattle or something like that.
I thought his name was Stephen. I'm kidding.
I'm looking at you with disgust. That's why I stopped.
Anyway, Heisenberg's fight, what do you think?
See, we'll talk about the lead up to it.
Sorry. Yeah, let's.
Because you gotta fight the plane guy first. I love that fight. I straight up love it.
It completely depleted all of my ammunition first go through.
Because you gotta basically dodge his attacks. Because he's basically a giant plane propeller running at you. That is an effective monster. Let's be straight.
Yeah. Also, the death animation is absolutely disgusting.
It's just
where you get sucked in the.
Is it like some Mortal Kombat sort of thing?
You didn't get killed by him?
No. I played standing, didn't I?
There's 3 specific death animations from Resident Evil 7 and 8 that I always point to and think that is a bit above and beyond from what I ever wanted to see in a Resident Evil game. 1, the baby death animation, where you get swallowed whole. 2, I think it's the final boss fight of Resident 7 with the head coming towards you. If you get killed by that and you just see an old woman eating your whole, I do not like that at all.
Fair enough.
I mean, it's effective, and me saying I don't like it doesn't mean it's not good.
It just means it's too effective.
It's too effective for me, yeah. And the death animation for Stern, it's not the only death animation. You can get killed by him. Say if you just get clipped and you fall on the floor and die. That's just generic one. But there is one where he knocks you down and you look up and then he just starts walking towards you and chopping you up as you go.
A proper Mortal Kombat sort of thing. Yeah. I think it wouldn't bother me that much because, like I said, I play a bit of Mortal Kombat, so that's like the basic thing for that. But I like that fight. You just got to dodge, and he eventually just basically breathes fire at you at some points. That was good. That was a good fight.
It's a good fight, yeah.
Eventually, you get back up and you fall back down. I don't remember how. I think Heisenberg just throws you back down or something.
Yeah, you get back up, go into another room. You meet Heisenberg. He's using all his powers.
Because he used magnetic powers. He's basically Magneto as well.
Yeah.
How he's basically a knockoff of basically 3 different people: Dante, Nicolas Cage, and Magneto.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I love him.
I don't know much about Magneto, but Heisenberg, at least, he doesn't specifically control metal, does he? He controls electromagnetic waves within certain objects, which means essentially his powers extend beyond metal. But we just don't see that in the game at all.
Because Magneto's obviously, from his name, he's a magnet, so it's metal, but I only saw him use metal, so...
And then he mutates himself and then knocks you down to the bottom of the factory.
And you meet up with Chris again.
Yeah.
And then he actually tells you the truth.
Yeah.
Even he's, like... I remember him telling me this, like, it turns out Miranda... That was Miranda. We shot her and we thought her dead, but it turns out she can shapeshift into a corpse.
Yeah. All I had to do at the start of the game was shoot her, and instead of saying, sorry, Ethan, he could have gone, that's not Mia, and walked off. That's all he had to do.
I still think there could have been a game there. Like, finding Mia with one of the other monsters.
Yeah, finding...
That could have been...
Right, finding the... Surely, I mean...
And you could have had Lady D as the main boss.
Surely Ethan...
We made a better Resident Evil 8 right here.
Surely Ethan would have more of a motive to find the real Mia than he would... Oh, actually, what am I saying? He needs to find his daughter. Forget what I'm saying.
His daughter could have been protected by Chris, but either way, either find Mia or find his daughter, it's the same amount of motivation.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have killed the final boss technically at the start, but who cares?
Yeah.
So, basically... No joke, he basically turns into a Transformer fight at this point.
Yeah.
Because you have to ride this tank that has a chainsaw that you block with.
Yeah.
And you basically go up and you gotta shoot him with this. Now the thing is, it completely throws the horror elements out the window here for the entire game from now on. But I'm not gonna lie, I love all the sequences past this point because they're so absurd.
I really like the Heisenberg fight, but I like it because it's so stupid.
Yeah.
It's basically it's just a set piece. It's not gameplay, is it? Let's face it.
It kind of is, because you can get killed and stuff. But
and
eventually you have to fight them on foot.
Oh yeah, on the Village of Shadows difficulty, that boss just annihilates you. And you have to learn specific mechanics that you didn't really have to learn in the original, difficulty.
Standard.
I don't think I even blocked on standard.
No, I didn't either,
because he's too slow. But in Village of Shadows, like when the cutscene ends, you have to fire a rocket, you have to block, and then you have to move in certain directions to avoid his attacks. Otherwise, I think one kills you.
Oh jeez.
But yeah, it took me a while. I did.
Anyway, and then you gotta go on foot and do it.
Yeah.
Eventually you kill... I kind of got sad on that bit, but when you gotta go on foot, but I just pulled out the Magnum and just shot him. But
the Magnum just completely obliterates him.
And then you finally find out that meet Mother Amanda, who kills you.
Yeah.
So you think for now, Ethan's dead? Because she comes up, transforms into herself and rips out your heart.
Yeah.
And I think... Plot-wise, this is where it completely goes down the shitter. That
cutscene where Mother Miranda kills Ethan was really effective for me. I thought, because up until that point, there's a lot of fake consequences in the game.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean by fake consequences?
Like his hand being cut off.
Gets his hand cut off, and you think, that's really going to impact the game, and just glued it back on like in Resident Evil 7. Or when it... Even at the start, before that point, he gets stabbed through the chest, which looks like his heart, by Heisenberg. When he captures him, takes him to the mine. Like a big beam comes through his chest. And even Lady D does some damage to him. When you pick up the knife and you're about to start the boss fight, she stabs him through the chest with the claws.
Yeah.
And there's just no consequences up until...
There is a plot reason for this.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a bit. But I thought that it was actually taking a risk to kill off Ethan.
See, if they stuck with that and just kept him dead at that point, I think I kind of would have respected Capcom for it, because that was a ballsy move.
Yeah, ballsy move. But
and then let's say what happens now.
Yeah.
You play as Chris, and it kind of turns into Call of Duty. Now, here's the thing: I like it, but I like it because I feel like it's the same reason I like the sequence at Resident Evil 7. It's because it's near the end of the game, and it feels like I've gone through this entire game. Now I just want to kick everyone's ass.
I was going to use that womp 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 thing because I was going to say, and then it's only risk because it risks the worst part of the game. But no, you're anticipating it now, so I'm not going to press it.
So,
GTA.
I'm going to get the last laugh in. What was it now? Hang on. That's what I think about that.
Fair enough. So, the bit with Chris, I understand where you come from, how you just want to kick everyone's ass.
I 100% understand why people won't like it.
Yeah.
I 100% understand. But for me, this is the thing. People like Resident Evil 4 for the action sequences and stuff like that. That's just what it felt like to me. Resident Evil 4. So it always confuses me when there's Resident Evil 4 moments in other games and stuff. And people are, I don't like this. But then they go about saying, I love Resident Evil 4.
You can't really say that the Chris bit is a Resident Evil 4 moment.
I'm not saying it is.
It's just an action moment. It's not specifically Resident Evil 4.
No, but I'm just saying, like, it always baffles me when people complain they have moments that either are full-on nods to it or makes me feel like it.
Yeah.
So it always confuses me. Like, I say The Evil Within as well. Like, that's a similar game. Like, that's borderline a Resident Evil 4 remake, but no one liked it.
Yeah.
But I disliked it for the exact same reason I disliked Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
So, it's baffling to me, that's all.
Speaking of The Evil Within, I know this is going to be another sidetrack, but I noticed how you just said the bit with Chris feels like Resident Evil 4. There's actually been a first-person mod released for Evil Within 2.
Oh, yeah.
Or it might be an official DLC, for all I know. But, yeah, it's just a first-person Evil Within 2.
Fair enough. I'll have to try that. I need to play that
Resident
game.
Evil 8, basically.
I need to play that game at some point, but yeah. Basically, you turn to the Call of Duty moment. You go invade the village, and you got because Mother Amanda's basically setting up the stage for the child thing.
Yeah.
Where she's basically going to swap Ethan's child and remake it her child.
Yeah.
And Chris is going in there, and he's basically summoning tactical missiles.
Yeah.
I'm not even joking. It's like, you ever play Gears of War?
Yeah, the Hammer of Dawn, yeah.
It's like that exactly, but with missiles.
But I think that's a real life thing, isn't it? Calling down a missile with a
it's a real life thing, but it's just like, because it's Resident Evil, how close you are to it would have killed Chris in real life.
Oh, yeah.
It's just so absurdly silly. I love it.
Yeah. I understand how you'd say it goes far enough that it's silly and therefore you love it because of it being silly. It's how I like the Heisenberg fight because of how silly it is. Yeah, somewhat about the Chris part just really irks me. And there are moments like it earlier in the game, like the full-on action bits, but it's just that one section. I don't know why I dislike it so much.
I liked it, but like I said, I understand why others wouldn't.
Yeah.
And once you basically do that bit, you eventually get to... we have missed a section now, I just remember, but it's just a mess section, who cares? You'll just fight that giant guy with the hammer. You fight the giant guy with the hammer again as Chris, but I think it's a different guy.
I think it's a different guy too, yeah.
And you find Mia in the dungeon, it turns out she's fine. Like, she's just...
Yeah.
All right.
You all right, love?
Yeah. And then she reveals that that's the sequence. You find out why Mother Miranda wanted the children dead, because they weren't like...
Can I just point something out?
Go for it.
I really hate how Resident Evil games do this. They did it in Resident Evil Village. That's
what we're on about.
Yeah, they did it in this Resident Evil. I think they do it in either Resident Evil 7 or one of the DLCs. How, towards the end of the game, there's just a room with documents on the tables telling you bits that you don't already know about it. I really hate that.
I think that's the worst thing these Resident Evil games do, is tie it to Resident Evil games.
Yeah, Resident Evil Village could have been separate.
It didn't really need it. I think Chris there enough, but
then Oswald Spencer at the end.
They literally revealed that the guy who founded Umbrella basically got his logo from some image there, and he worked with Mother Amanda before he found his umbrella. Was that really necessary?
That note, for a split second, that note made me think: is this a prequel to everything else that happens in the rest of the franchise? Because I saw the note and I thought, hang on, he's talking about creating Umbrella. And then I thought, oh no, I mean stupid, because Resident Evil 7 was before this, wasn't it?
Plus Chris has got like a big ass beard, and plus Chris is there.
Yeah. So, yeah, just...
I hate it when it does them moments, because that's what I think Resident Evil sucks at, when it tries to be Resident Evil, weirdly enough.
Yeah.
And it's just like, tries to tie it into the previous stuff, and you're just there like, you don't need it. Like, Resident Evil 7 can literally have nothing to do with the other Resident Evil games. Even Chris didn't need to be there. Chris
basically wasn't there. It was just a man that was named Chris that didn't look like
He didn't need... It could have been anyone. It could have been like Hunk or something like that.
Yeah, Hunk. He's an interesting character.
So, yeah. You find Mia, and then she reveals that... Turns out, Ethan was dead all this time. Dun, dun, dun! You're in this dream sequence where you meet Eveline for the... Is it Eveline? From the Resident Evil 7, the old lady.
Evelyn, yeah.
And she reveals that Ethan died at the start of Resident Evil 7, and he became one of them moss creatures. And that's why he's been able to regenerate and suffer all that damage and stuff.
You know, that bit of the game should have been really effective, but it wasn't, because when I played through Resident Evil 7... I thought it was implied that he was a moss creature anyway.
I thought, yeah.
When he's stuck in the ship inside that...
He was interacting with them through the memory thing, weren't they?
Yeah, and the ship at the end where the snot is hanging from the walls and Ethan is actually inside of it. Yeah. I mean, surely he would have... I mean...
Didn't they say he was infected anyway?
Yeah, which makes that part not effective to me in the slightest.
So if they didn't say he was affected, I think I could abide it, but... They said in Resident Evil 7 he's infected.
I don't remember the specifics, but...
I remember they saying he was infected at some point. I think it was during the helicopter bit, I'm not too sure. But they did say he was infected beforehand, so I was like...
Yeah.
Mate, I'm shrugging my shoulders here, like, that don't make any sense.
Yeah.
So, when you wake up, it turns out the Duke's, like, been transporting you to Mother Miranda, and he basically... Ethan asks, what the hell is he? And the Duke says, oh no. That was a pointful conversation. That
could be pointing towards maybe DLC or some with a backstory for the Duke, but he does have an implied backstory. Have you noticed he's the fifth?
There, people thought he was going to be like the fifth boss or something.
No, there's a lot of points in the game that point toward him actually being the fifth. What they call Lieutenant Lord, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of rumours and stuff like that.
In his carriage, he has an insignia on the carpet of an owl, and there's loads of signs pointing towards an owl being a crest of one of the lords. And so, but he's just a friendly lord, I assume.
Well, he's like, even Mother Miranda doesn't really acknowledge him.
But Lady D does. There's a notebook in her room that says she's had a meeting with the Duke. Regarding, I don't know, it's a meeting regarding something.
I'm curious to see if they do anything with that character past this point, because it seems like he has some kind of relevance. Maybe he might appear in Resident Evil 9 or DLC or something, I don't know. But basically, you go up to the tower and you fight Mother Miranda.
Yeah.
And I'm not even joking, it is borderline similar to the final boss of Resident Evil 4. Giant claws comes down and jumps up all over the place.
But...
I said borderline, it's not the same, but it's borderline. It's a lot of influence there.
Oh, of course, yeah.
The only difference is you don't shoot her with a missile.
I really like the Mother Miranda fight because it's very over the top. Like, the attacks that she does are visually over the top. It reminds me somewhat from Dark Souls, when the attacks are really heavily televised.
I feel like a lot of these bosses were influenced by Dark Souls and stuff.
Potentially, yeah.
Except for the doll.
Yeah.
Which wasn't a boss fight.
No. Yeah, I really like the Mother Miranda fight. It's just that it ends with a whimper rather than a bang. You know how she's got you trapped on the floor and you just got to shoot her?
Yeah.
I don't like that because it feels like...
It's kind of the same as Resident Evil 7 with the giant monster thing.
Yeah.
And they do that with The Evil Within as well, actually, funny enough.
Maybe I'll play it one day.
Yeah, it's fine, but I think what's interesting is the bit after the cutscene, because basically Ethan's borderline dying at this point. So he takes the bomb off Chris, because they're planting the bomb on that. Yeah. What was it called? The M thing?
The Megamycete.
Yeah, which is the whole where all the moss and stuff from Resident Evil 7 comes from.
Is that confirmed?
I think it's the same sort of thing, at the very least.
Yeah.
I don't know if it came from it, but it's just basically the same thing.
Or would it maybe an evolution of it or something?
I don't know. Because I think the new umbrella, I don't know what their name is, like the Connection or something like that. I think they're related to all of this.
I think we should maybe have a better idea of what we're talking about before we get into it next time. But yeah, the Megamycete, I'm pretty sure you're right. It does have something to do with the mould from 7.
But basically, Chris plants some tiny but yet powerful bomb on it.
Yeah.
And then Ethan takes the trigger and blows it up with him in it. But I don't know why he did that.
Can just point out that bomb is way more powerful than the one Chris calls down on the Megamycete in the beginning.
Yes.
Not the beginning.
The missile thing.
Yeah. And it's such a tiny thing. It's like a dart that he throws into him.
Yeah.
Weird.
There's Resident Evil for you.
But yeah, that ending cutscene where Ethan's walking into the Megamycete to blow him up with Ethan with it.
Yeah.
That was really effective, and I actually felt quite sad at that point. But it's too little too late because Ethan is annoying in Resident Evil 7 and downright an asshole in Resident Evil 8.
I think they tried to make him like, what's his face now? Leon. I think they tried to make him like that in Resident Evil 4.
But he was starting to become, no matter what you think of him, he was starting to become a bit more human in our eyes. And then he goes and kills himself.
See, I don't see why he had to kill himself, per se. I recognise he was dying, but I didn't understand why he had to walk away.
He was slowing down Chris, and if he didn't do that, Chris could have died.
Oh, yeah, but that doesn't mean you have to walk back into the thing. You could have just like slowly walked off and set it off or something. Yeah,
but remember, he said the explosion would have levelled the entire village, so Chris had to leg it. He couldn't have Ethan slowing him down.
I was going to say maybe it was like a Terminator 2 moment, which completely destroyed everything.
Yeah.
Whatever, that's fine as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's believable.
And then you fast forward to like how many years later, and he's like his daughter's visiting his memorial thing.
Yeah, his grave.
And it turns out she might be powerful, and like this guy's like, Chris and everyone's watching over him. And also it implies that this organisation, BASS, I think.
BSAA.
That's it. I think Chris worked with him a lot then.
In Resi 5 he works for him.
And they're using like biomutants that looks exactly like Mr. X.
What do you mean?
Because they showed the corpse at the end, and it looked like Mr. X to me.
That's something I wanted to point out. When, in the village bit when you're playing as Chris at the end of the game, and they say the BSAA are here, and then at the end of the game they find out that the BSAA weren't there, or they were, and they were using biomutant soldiers. I think that might come up in the DLC, because we never learn why there was biomutants.
Or it could be setting up Resident 9.
Yeah, it could be. But I really hope for some DLC, because although this game does have quite a few flaws, I do still want to see where it goes with DLC.
I think the final thing to mention, I don't know if you know this, but you know when they drive off, his daughter drives off at the end?
Yeah, and you see a figure in the distance.
Yeah. Do you know what the figure is?
Well, people have data mined it and found out it's Ethan.
Yeah.
But that's just a metaphor, I'm pretty sure, of him watching over his daughter, maybe.
I don't know. It could be Capcom saying he's still alive, or it could just be Capcom saving money and just using that model because no one knows what his face looks like.
But at that point, it's fair enough to think that, but it's a model of Ethan without his coat on specifically because he gave it to his daughter. So why would they use that model when they could just
It's
use...
a very specific model to use.
Yeah.
I'm just saying there's a possibility, but it's a very...
I saw it originally as a metaphor for his daughter watching over him. But then I noticed, just before it cuts to black, doesn't the car slow down?
Might have been. I don't know. It could be a thing.
Then again, it specifically says at the end the father's story is finished or something. And Capcom never put a ending stamp on something. Like, I use an example of Ada dying, that you never see her physically dying and therefore she isn't dead in Resi 2. Or I find with Capcom that unless explicitly stated or shown,
but at the same...
nothing ever really dies, do they?
No, because like, how many times a bloody what's his face came back? Albert Wesker,
Mr. X, he takes some damage and then he just keeps coming back.
There's two of them, aren't there, in the remake?
There's two.
Because one gets killed by what's his face, Dr. Thingamajig.
Birkin.
Yes, he gets killed by Birkin in the Claire playthrough.
No, that's the same one. But one of those playthroughs isn't canon. We were talking about this the other day, weren't we?
No, it'll be no matter what route you go through. You'll find it. You'll see what I mean. I spoiled it for you, isn't great? Yay!
That's not a spoiler, because in Leon's playthrough, you shoot him with a rocket and that kills him.
Yeah.
Or so we think. There may be two, actually. I don't know.
You'll see it when you get to it. But yeah. So that will be interesting to see what they do with either the DLC or Resident Evil 9. I'd love to see what they're going to do. Are they going to put the daughter? Because that's the thing. Resident Evil games. This is two things I want to bring up. Resident Evil follows our timeline, essentially. Like the year in Resident Evil 8 is the same year as now.
Yeah.
So will Resident Evil 9 have a time jump or something? And that comes to the other question, is that because the other characters are getting old, will they eventually retire them?
Well,
because Chris is about 50 in this one.
I've heard people point out, like what you said, how Resident Evil games appear to take place in the year that we are currently in. People have pointed out that the post-credit scene with Rose is still in this year, but Rose doesn't age like typical humans.
That's a possibility as well, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting theory, but I don't really buy it. I mean, there's bound to be a time jump there, because you don't see Chris, you don't see Mia, and I think it's for the reason that they're getting old, to be honest.
Because like I said, will it get to a point where they have to retire the characters, the classic characters, and that, because they're following our timeline?
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if they'll do something like Judge Dredd does, because Judge Dredd is sort of the same idea. Like, as the comics go on, Judge Dredd ages in real life, sort of thing. Like, he ages with our years, if that makes sense, even though it's in the future. So it's like, that comic's like 50 years old, something like ridiculous like that. In his universe, he's been going for about 50 years. So he aged about 50 years. But they got like vats and stuff that will make him live, essentially.
I think, for better or worse, Resident Evil is, going forward, is going to become less and less like the Resident Evil we know. But that's by design, because it has to go with the characters realistically aging, doesn't it?
If they keep up with what they're doing, at least, yeah.
Yeah. I mean...
I just want to see bloody Jill in one more game, man.
Yeah. Jill. It's weird that I get mixed up between Jill and Claire quite a bit.
I just think that Jill's basically their world's Doomslayer, because there's a moment in the remake where she basically holds a BFG.
Picks up that railgun.
I don't care how silly people say that. If Claire Redfield can hold a minigun at 18 years old, Jill can have that moment.
When is she 18 and holding a minigun?
Well, she's a college student, ain't she? When Resident Evil 2 remake.
Is she?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And she gets there's a minigun in it.
Yeah, but I think those endgame weapons are non-canonical, surely.
No, they're part of the thing.
Oh,
they're not infinite guns or anything. They're literally, you'll find it in the thing.
Fair enough.
So if Claire can have that, if Chris can punch a boulder, then...
And Chris punching that boulder was canonical, because Heisenberg says it himself.
Yep.
That boulder punching asshole. I like that he brought that up. Like, we weren't imagining it. No, he actually punched the boulder.
Yeah. Jill can be the freaking Doomslayer. I don't care.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think essentially, despite the flaws, I love the game. But I think one of the reasons I love the game is because there was no behind-the-scenes bullshit, far as we know.
Yeah.
Like, the past few games I've been playing, oh, God, there's so much going on behind the scenes. Like, anyone that watches my videos know I have a particular dislike for a certain Polish game. I won't name it here because I name it quite often. But there's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff with games recently I'm just not liking. Like, I can't play a Ubisoft game anymore, especially what they're up to. But there was no funny business with Capcom, like that we're aware of at least.
It's a very polished game.
And it's very polished, yeah. Like, oh, you have that one moment, but it's a massive game. Like, there's bound to be that one moment.
I go back to how I was talking about speedrunning earlier. The strategies that some speedrunners use is to find out how to skip portions of the game.
Yeah.
And it's virtually impossible in Village to skip more than about 5 minutes of the entire runtime.
Oh, Jesus.
Because, games work on triggers, how you need to trigger something to happen. Even insignificant parts of the game are triggers, which means you can't skip to the Lady D fight. You have to pick up the masks.
Yeah.
Put them there. You can't skip the daughters, their triggers. And it's all really, really well made. And you've got to respect that, haven't you?
Yeah, it's really well put together. Like we said, it's a flawed game, but it's a solid game at the end of the day.
Yeah, it doesn't quite do one thing really well. It does multiple things quite well.
Yeah.
It's like a jack of all trades, really.
It's fun.
Yeah.
And I think more games need to be that. More. Here's the thing: Resident Evil Village did not promise the world. It didn't promise you'll live in a futuristic life or anything like that. It didn't promise you'll be,
promise those sweet Lady D titties out.
Oh.
You want to cut that bit?
But that's the thing. It didn't promise the world.
Yeah.
It said, you're going to have a spooky time.
Yeah.
And you're going to shoot some stuff. That's what it promised, and it delivered.
Did it though?
You had spooky moments. You got to shoot some
moments,
stuff.
not the whole game.
I never said the whole game. I said it's going to have spooky moments.
Spooky time, you said.
It's atmospherically spooky.
Yeah.
It's not my favourite Resident Evil game, but it's a solid game. Like, because you played the original ones, didn't you? Like,
yeah.
From the remakes, like...
I didn't play the originals. Why did I say that? Do you mean the originals as in original 1, 2 and 3?
I assume so, yeah.
Oh, no, I didn't play them.
No.
You're
supposed to be a Resident Evil expert here.
Am I? Really?
Yeah, you played 4, 5, 6.
Ah.
Oh, I did that in.
Enough of that.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think the fact that, like I said, there's no bullshit behind it. That's why I properly enjoyed it. Yourself?
Overall, I enjoyed it. I know I'm a stickler for the details, and I'll keep pointing out flaws, but it's a very enjoyable game. Got a lot of replay value. My last playthrough, I did it on Village of Shadows, so I've unlocked the rocket pistol. I can't wait to use that. Have you seen the rocket pistol?
I've never heard about it. I know about the lightsaber.
Oh, yeah.
We never talked about mercenary mode, did we?
Oh, yeah, okay, quickly. Let's talk about mercenary mode and the unlockables. So, mercenary mode, really good, really, really good, except it's not as good as any other mercenaries mode on any Resident Evil game, because I don't know how many mercenaries modes you've played.
I've only played 4, that's about it, and a little bit of 8.
It's got limited enemies, and that is a real detriment, because you have to essentially memorise what order you want to kill them in to get the best combo. Whereas 4, 5 and 6, mercenary mode, enemies are coming at you from all directions, so you can literally do whatever. And I think that, coupled with the abilities from 8, because I love the abilities, I love how random it makes the game, would make the perfect mercenaries mode.
See, I don't like the combat enough in Resident Evil games to be interested in mercenary mode. If it was I'm not saying I want Resident Evil to have the combat of Doom, but if mercenaries mode was like Doom, if Doom had a mercenaries mode, essentially, I'd be into it.
Yeah.
I don't like the combat enough to.
Oh, that's fair. Completely understandable. Yeah. Although saying that, most of the game is the combat, so
it's fine for a horror-esque survival thing.
Yeah.
But whereas like Mercenary set up for a more action thing, ain't it, than a survival thing, in my opinion. It's not exactly fight till you drop sort of thing, is it?
Yeah.
So it's more of an arcade thing.
I want to mention that about what you were just saying about the survival horror aspect of Resi 8. How you were just mentioning about the horror aspect of it. And yet it gives you this massive inventory. Even at the start, before you've upgraded the inventory, it's too big for what you need it for. And by the time it starts filling up, you can buy a second one anyway.
It is a bit much, but
so that is one of the reasons why it tries too hard at doing both sides of it.
I think if you stuck to one or the other, I think it would have been better, but I don't think it's bad at all.
So anyway, Mercenaries, or the unlockables, what we were talking about.
Yeah, lightsaber if you beat like basically to the best of the ability, don't you?
If you get double S ranking on all the Mercenaries modes, you get the lightsaber. And it's good. I haven't unlocked lightsaber myself, but it's a good concept because it's got more than one blade. It's got red blade, a blue blade, and a green blade.
And it's double-sided as well, aren't they?
Yeah, they all do different things as well, which is cool.
Oh, yeah.
But by the time you have that weapon, you don't need any variety because you're just going to use that weapon.
It's a stupid weapon for the point where you're basically beating the game to it.
Also, there's the rocket pistol, which I really look forward to using. When you beat the game on hardest difficulty, you get the rocket pistol. It's not got infinite ammo, so it's not the best weapon in the game, I assume. I haven't used it yet, like I said. But it fires rocket launcher ammo.
Oh, God.
From a pistol.
That's like that upgrade in Call of Duty Nazi Zombies where you die, but you have the pistol and you got like enough punch for a pack-a-puncher. You just upgrade the gun and you just shoot grenades, essentially.
Yeah. Also, I really like, as I say, replayability in games, which is why I'll keep playing this over and over again because the unlimited ammo is just fun to use. And
I'm a once done guy unless it really grabs me. Resident Evil 8 doesn't really grab me.
Or unless you lose the footage of the first playthrough.
I have not lost the footage. It's just that my computer's that terrible, it can't run it.
Fair enough.
There's a difference.
Okay, fair enough. So, yeah, overall.
You recommend it?
I would recommend it, definitely. If you got to this point and you still haven't played it, what the hell are you doing with your life? Go play it.
Yeah. So
well, you don't even have to play it. We've literally gave you a walkthrough.
We told you the story in the worst possible way we could.
Yeah. So go play it.
Yeah. Overall, 100% recommendation. Right. Thank you for listening, everyone, or watching if this is on YouTube or whatever. Hopefully we'll do more of these podcasts. Maybe Lewis will join me for some more on other games and summit.
Maybe. Carry on.
Or I'll get other people in, whatever. But yeah, if you guys like this, I will continue more of these sort of stuff. Maybe a monthly thing if I can, to see how it goes. But thank you for listening, everyone. Like and subscribe for more content. See ya.
Bye.